In the Middle East, there is a really important meeting of world leaders going on and business leaders. And at the other end of the chain, you're investing. How much attention do you pay to what's going on in Dubai right now?
Yeah, I think all eyes are on Dubai right now, for sure. They're trying to solve the biggest challenge of our generation, climate change. And when we try to tie it together, what I'm focused on is watching how many founders are headed over this year. That's very different than in the past. We're seeing entrepreneurs from around the world deciding this is the place to be right now, and that's exciting.
I moderated a panel at Techonomy Climate right at the start of the year, and we were considering a lot of these big picture items, and the panel was split on whether you go for a startup whose future is dependent on public subsidy, policy, but also government money paving the way for their future. How do you approach that?
We look at those as tailwinds. We try to find companies that are going to build the future we all existed in the world. We do that in fintech, we do that in healthcare, we do it a lot in climate. But when we think about subsidies, whether it's in healthcare or whether it's in climate, those are add-ons. We don't rely on them as the sole business model.
Of course, there's much hand-wringing at the moment, Andrew, about ultimately what events such as COP28 can ultimately achieve in terms of agreement and indeed policy, but then in terms of incentivizing corporate and corporate America at that. How are you seeing companies still marching towards a focus on climate change, even though perhaps the political environment has changed somewhat on it?
Look, we've been doing this a long time. I was an entrepreneur in the solar space in 2002. Climate change was like a thermostat setting at that point, right? We've come a long, long way. We've seen 2 orders of magnitude cost reductions in solar and wind, and these are now the cheapest solutions out there. So not only are we seeing corporations show up looking for solutions, and I think showing up in mass in Dubai looking for solutions and asking each other, almost Davos-like, trying to find the answer, trying to solve the puzzle. But we see founders in Silicon Valley and around the world showing up with incredible ideas to help transform our global economy.
Let's dig into those ideas, because you're someone who's led change at big business. I think how you were leading distributed generation over at what is, I mean, the largest clean energy developer here in America. But when you're looking at the startups, Andrew, where is the innovation coming? What problems are we not seeing that are able to be fixed?
Silicon Valley spent the last 20 years digitizing the global economy. Now we're going to decarbonize it. And I think we're sort of in early innings, even though it's been about a decade of huge growth. I think McKinsey and Goldman are talking about $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion of new investment every year just to decarbonize the energy sector. And we feel that well underway. Solar and wind are now much more cost effective than coal and natural gas in most of the world for new generation. You guys have had a lot of discussion already this morning on electric vehicles, and we're seeing that transformation really start to take hold. Those are areas that we're very excited about. I would just mention 3 things. Mobility. We love the electrification of everything. There's a lot more to do to electrify every form of transportation around the world. We're very interested in scale, finding ways that we can get past all of the bottlenecks, particularly on the electricity grid. There's a lot of startup work going on in software and hardware to blow past a lot of the bottlenecks that we're facing. And then, of course, AI. AI and climate, there's a really exciting intersection.
Let me jump in here. We discussed a generative AI tool, or at least the underpinnings of a large language model, as an accelerant in the healthcare or biotech space. The use cases are obvious. Less obvious is how AI actually accelerates climate tech, makes it come to market quicker or otherwise.
That's right. I mean, we've been early on in using AI in different fields. We were early in recursion pharmaceuticals, and they did that in the healthcare space. I think you're going to see a lot of companies show up in climate with some similar ideas. There'll be deep tech concepts, how we use AI to help, and generative AI to help us think through things like battery chemistry. But I also think there's a lot in the information sector that will be very exciting, crossing AI and all of the things like Bloomberg New Energy Finance and Bloomberg Green. There will be AI attached to that because big companies are looking to AI for solutions. And we're not ready yet, but we will have some announcements soon about an investment in that space.